So I want to have a look at this question. This question will really test your knowledge of how many objects are created when you're dealing with arrays and wrappers, but more specifically when those wrappers are cached. So you can have a look at line 4 here. We're declaring a class X and it has an integer array, an array of integer wrappers, and we're using the values 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then in main, we declare an array of X, and there's 6 entries in that array. Then in line 10, we initialize the second index value, index 1, to be new X. Index 2 on line 11 is new X, and line 12 says that array with an index of 3 is new X as well. Then on line 13, we say array with an index of 3 is null. That's an equal sign. It's just the way that this tool has shown the equals. It looks like a minus, but it is in fact the assignment. On line 15, we ask the question, at this point, how many objects have been created in memory and how many are now ready for garbage collection. So let's look at what's happening in memory. On line 9, we create an array of type X and there's 6 entries in it. So in memory, that's modeled as follows. Array is a reference to an object of type X array. Then we're saying in line 10, array with an index of 1 is assigned new X. On line 5, we say the class X has a wrappers integer array reference, and the values that it's going to use are 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's okay. Wrappers is a reference to an array, and there are 4 entries in this array. The first one refers to an integer object with 1 in it. The second one refers to an integer object with 2 in it. Third one, 3. Fourth one, 4. So they're integer objects, and this is an integer array. We then come along in line 11, we say array with an index of 2 is assigned new X. Now, this is where it gets interesting. If you see in the bottom right hand corner there, I have the value of API method description. On the last line, it says this method will always cache values in the range of -128 to +127. And therefore, they're going to be reused. So these guys were cached. And therefore, what that means is when other integers are being created which have the same values, then those cached ones will be reused. So what that means is that when we go and we create our integer array, we then reuse these guys. That's crucial in understanding this particular program. And then on line 12, we say array 3 is assigned new X. That's what new X will do. And then, because we've cached and because we're creating the values 1, 2, 3, 4, basically these guys will go over and they'll reuse 1, 2, 3, 4 as well. So in line 13, we say array 3 is assigned null. 0, 1, 2, 3. This one is set to null. So on line 15, how many objects have been created in memory? The circles are the objects. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And how many are available for garbage collection? These 2 here. We can't get to this one because we can't get to this one. So they're ready for garbage collection. Now, what I'd like to do now is just load up a small little program that proves that what I've just been saying is in fact correct. So at this point on line 19, we have ascertained that there are 11 objects created, 2 ready for garbage collection. Let's look at what's being done on line 19. So what we are comparing there is this particular reference with this one over here. And it comes back with true, therefore proving that the integer with a value of 1 has been cached and been reused. You'll see on line 21, I'm creating a new integer. This is the deprecated way to create an integer. Nowadays, you should be using integer.valueof, and the API is telling me that. I called it not in cache. The second one, integer in cache, is integer.valueof, because the value of is the method that has the logic to see if the value is -128 to +127, then it will definitely be in the cache. If it's not there already, it'll be stored in the cache for later reuse. New integer does not do that. So I'm going to use the double equals again. This compares the reference values as opposed to the values in the objects. So on line 24, I output is the wrappers with an index of 0 in array 1, is it equivalent to not in cache? And that's going to come back with false, because the not in cache one, that new integer, is going to be a separate object completely, not in the cache. Whereas when I use the one in cache using the integer.valueof, which I created on line 22, then on line 25, you can see that that is going to come back with true. So I should have true, false, true when I run this. True, false, true is the output.